Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Billyon Richardson with name 2103050001. And today we are going to discuss about the implementation of single picture to teach describing things orally at vocational high school to increase speaking ability. Without wasting the time, let us begin the discussion. This study is to describe the implementation of single picture to teach describing things orally at vocational high school to increase speaking ability. Now, the study was conducted using classroom action research. This has planning, acting, observing, and reflecting step to get the data. The data was collected using speaking performance tests for the quantitative and observing checklist, field note, and questionnaire for the qualitative. For the first cycle, students couldn't describe things well because they didn't get treatment. But in the second cycle, 23% of students were excellent, 60 were good, and only 12% were categorized poorly. It can be implied that a single picture could assist the students' creativity in describing things orally and increase their speaking ability. Our table of content is introduction, method, and the last is finishing and discussion. Alright, the first is introduction. Let us begin the discussion. Now, vocational high school graduate experience many difficulty in working environment, especially in speaking English in public. Now, vocational high school, or in Indonesia we call it SMK, Sekolah Menengah ke Atas, is different from other school. Wahyuni stated that the highly skilled education is required for the qualification of graduated who are ready to compete and take a job in a working environment. This is the reason why vocational student should have to own active English skill, not only to communicate well when explaining their product, but also have a high chance of offering product to foreigner. Now, speaking in is a skill for English foreign language student. However, this skill has so much benefit not only for English foreign language student but also for vocational student. By mastering their speaking skill, people can interact and carry a conversation with other, give idea and exchange information with other. Since English is a foreign language in Indonesia, it is a challenge for vocational students to master it. They should have speaking skill with the teacher's support in the learning process. A teacher must choose the best media to teach speaking skill. According to Munte and Kuliah, they believe a good teacher is a teacher who is able to create a fun learning environment, be a motivational speaker, and have a passion. The best media are media that must be interesting and appropriate for students to achieve learning objective. Now that's why the teacher should understand the power of the media as a source learning because it determines the quality of learning delivered by a teacher. The best media to improve student speaking skill is a single picture. Now, many studies using image to teach English have been conducted. According to Nurdini, a single picture is a good way to create an interesting learning process so the students can understand the material explain idea easier since it will make students create ideas. For example, if someone sees an apple, then the image of the apple is circle, red color, etc. Then the physical picture can be made by the brain. Well, you can say then one can say that an apple is something shaped like a circle, or an apple is a red color, etc. This study depart from the assumption that a single picture is still very potential to use in a speaking class of vocational student. Therefore, this research has two objectives. The first is to describe the implementation of the use of a single picture to describe things orally for vocational student, and to describe the response of vocational student to the use of a single picture in describing things orally. According to Hildaini and Sukirin, the picture series learning model can improve student learning activity, both in learning activity and learning outcome increase well. Moreover, this learning model can increase student motivation and enthusiasm for learning English. Not only that, the media helps students to create ideas from what they have seen and they could describe things fluently. In addition, students could explain something in detail and clearly. More idea will bring up more descriptive sentence. If they need some reference, they can look at the single image that they bring in order to encourage the idea. Second discussion is method. Let us begin. In this research, the author focused on improving speaking ability by using a single picture to describe things orally and vocational high school. The research contained an action agenda for perform the many change life of the participant, the situation in which individual work or live, and the research life. Therefore, the study design was a classroom action research, or we can call it CAR. Classroom action research is a type study that is reflective of action taken by those who carry them out, expanding the awareness of the action made to improve the environment in which the practices of learning are done cooperatively. Now, there are planning steps. The author and the teacher prepared the lesson plan, material, and media for the teaching and learning process. And for action and observation step, the author and the teacher implemented a single picture to describe things orally based on the lesson plan. In their analysis, the author compared their planning with the information gleaned from their observation and action. The result of the questionnaire demonstrated the effectiveness of the teaching learning process of a verbal description of object using a single image. The author of the study used observation checklists and field notes to note the class condition and speaking scoring criteria from Brown speaking rubric to know the student speaking ability. Then the author used a questionnaire to learn what the student thought and to know the student respond to the implementation of the single picture to describe things orally. This observation checklist contains details regarding the use of single picture to describe things orally and vocationally high school. The observer noted what the author had seen, heard, and felt in the field note. As you can see on the table, in addition, students' speaking score data analyzed was done to know whether they were changed or not after the action. In this study, the author used both qualitative data and quantitative data. In this analyzing data, the result observation was interpreted and compared with a lesson plan and the questionnaire. Our last topic is about finding and discussion. Let us begin. Now, the author described the field note observation and student speaking score. For the first cycle, it provides the classroom activity description with a single picture to describe things orally. The classroom activities were divided into three parts. They are pre-active, or the activities done before the main activities in the teaching and learning process, versus activity or the main activities, and the post activity or concluding the teaching and learning process. Now, the student speaking score was taken through their performance in describing things around them. The student could describe things by giving one sentence, even if they could not speak up anyway. This condition showed the students got difficulties in describing things orally. They did not have more ideas to speak because they could not see the things characteristic in details. Now, in the second cycle, the author described the field note and observation for the second meeting. The author also described the questionnaire to know the response of the student towards the implementation of the single picture to describe things orally and vocationally high school to increase their speaking ability. This research was described by observing the classroom activities, student response, and student speaking result. Now, the first is A, classroom activities. 16 teacher checklist activities were allowed into preliminary west list and the post activity. Then there were only a checklist activity for the student in preliminary activities. The teacher gave a new treatment in the class for west activities. He brought three kinds of picture. There were laptop, cell phone, and printer. He divided among the students randomly and asked them to describe it orally in class. They should tell a single picture as well as possible. Now, the teacher called the student one by one based on the attendance list. One student took about 1 minute to explain things orally, then they could say around 6 sentences in their oral description. They used to see the picture to get some ideas. It happened many times, and different students they saw the image and they said something. The single picture could help them speak up because it provides some ideas. The performance took about 40 minutes. After that, the teacher feedback on their performance. The student listened to the teachers carefully. They could understand more about how to describe things orally, especially by using a single picture. B. Student response. The author gave questionnaire to the students to know their response of using single picture to describe things orally. The author may then question and then divide them in some part of the observation. The student answered the questionnaire based on what they felt and thought. You can see on the table. Student speaking result. The teacher asked student to describe orally the things inside the single picture. Then he took score from the performance. Then the teacher took the score based on four component Brown speaking rubric. Based on the student score above, student with the poor score is could not produce not more than four sentences, and their sentences were not also not good in grammatical. Now for the medium score, could produce more than five sentences, but their sentences were good enough grammatical. Now with an excellent score, could produce many sentences. The sentences were good in grammatical. Discussion is the first A, the implementation of single picture to describe things orally. Now single picture media is helpful for vocational students to describe something or a product. The picture completes the information so the people can get all information about the situation or something they want to know. The picture can help students image the abstract to be construed. Single picture is one of the good ways to create an interesting learning process so the student can easier to understand the material explained since it will make students create ideas. The observation checklist supported the field notes to describe the implementation of a single picture to describe orally. We could know class activities in detail from the observation, so it's displayed all activities of student and the teacher. The student responds toward the implementation of single picture to describe things orally. Now, vocational student like single picture media very much. The author found the most student like a single picture to describe things orally based on the questionnaires. Based on the questionnaire and the field notes, they explained that the student respond to a single picture to describe things orally while they felt happy and comfortable using it to tell. Based on the questionnaires and the field note, we could know that the student respond well to a single picture to describe things orally in line with the questionnaires and field note. The student score results show that the student improved their speaking ability. It's supposed to student to describe things fluently. Therefore, they could be active and enthusiastic in describing things orally. In conclusion, the implementation of single picture is well in teaching describing things orally at vocational high school. So English teacher should implement a single picture to teach describing things orally. A single picture is usable to help students to get more ideas and make them more active and enthusiastic in describing things orally. The single picture helps them get more ideas from the image and character. This student who get the idea from physical appearance to function and the character of the things. The student could increase their speaking ability known from the speaking score. Therefore, the author expects the following study use the single picture in other English skill. That's all for my discussion. I'm very sorry if my discussion is not very good and I have some mispronunciation. I'm very sorry. And thank you very much for your kind attention to watch my video. Wabillahi taufiq walhidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.